Our guest tonight is Liberal Nationals MP George Christensen, who has previously asked the Prime Minister for a guarantee that Syrian refugees coming to Australia are not terrorists. Welcome to the program, Mr Christensen.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Now, we heard from the ASIO chief, Duncan Lewis, today that he did not believe that refugees were any more likely to radicalise than other members of the Muslim community. Do you agree?
Well, look, Duncan Lewis is probably more across those statistics than I am, given that he's the chief of ASIO. But I suppose the key question here was the question that Senator Hanson asked the ASIO chief, and that was whether there was any link or any threat from refugees to our national security under the guise of terrorism. And you know, it's clear that there is. Unfortunately, there's refugees that we know that have come here, that have fled to Europe, that have gone to many different places throughout Europe, that harbour views that Duncan Lewis himself says are the cause of modern Islamic terrorism. That is this radical Sunni Islamic view, this ideology that Sharia law is going to be brought in everywhere, and these people are acting out in the name of Allah.
But that's not the view of the majority of the Muslim community, is it? So what do you think, though, about this ongoing debate about advice, if you like, that the ASIO chief, Duncan Lewis, is essentially handling MPs on how to talk about this issue? Now, there was a controversy towards the end of 2015 when the ASIO Director General made some comments essentially arguing that we have to be very careful what we say about this issue because some of our best collaborators and allies in the fight against terrorism are Muslims in the Muslim community, saying, you know, we're concerned about this issue or this person. Do you worry that some of your comments on Muslim migration or refugees may lead to members of that community not cooperating with intelligence chiefs? Well,
it shouldn't. And look, quite frankly, I think it's inappropriate for anyone to be telling members of Parliament or anyone else in the community what they can or can't say.
Do you think that's what Duncan Lewis has been doing?
Well, unfortunately, it seems that that's what the report suggested, but that was a while ago now. You know, Islam
this is when
a
he
religion.
rang the Liberal MP Andrew Hastie and asked him to moderate some of his comments in 2015.
Correct, but Islam is a religion. It's a system of beliefs that in a free, democratic and secular society like Australia is open to criticism. I mean, it happens every day with Christianity. Turn on the latest pop music video or, you know, talk show and you're going to hear complaints about the Catholic Church or Christianity in general. You know, I think that, you know, if the argument is that talking about the Islamic religion in a critical way leads people to then not assisting the Australian nation on national security issues, well, then there's a bigger problem than I actually think, because that's a pretty flimsy excuse for not wanting to stand up for your nation. You know, we have to accept that people can openly criticise any religion they like in this society. That's not my bag. I actually, if you look through everything that I've said and written, I have not specifically condemned Islam. I condemn the radical strain of Islam, and it seems that there's this blurred sort of blurred audio out there. When I say radical Islam, people don't hear the word radical. They just say, oh, he's attacking Islam. And this is the problem. We've crossed into this twilight zone of political correctness where we can't talk about these issues, and we even have, I'm going to say, there obviously was some reluctance of Duncan Lewis to respond to Pauline Hanson and say, yes, you know, there has been links between terrorism and refugees, because that's clear, that's on the public record, that is fact. I mean, we can't deny the facts. But when political correctness seeps in and starts affecting national security policy, you've got a very, very big problem.
When the Prime Minister says that there is not a problem with Islam itself, there's a problem within Islam, do you agree with him?
100%. The problem I see isn't Islam, but there is a problem inside Islam. Now, people often say to me, oh, well, what about the IRA? You know, they were Catholics. Wasn't there a problem within Catholicism? I guarantee you that there would have been many priests, Catholic priests, at the pulpit in Ireland condemning the atrocities that the IRA were perpetuating in Ireland. You know, what we need to see is more Muslim leaders, in fact all Muslim leaders, getting up and condemning.
But don't they do that all the time? I mean, where does this idea come from? I mean, what are you trying to suggest,
Sam,
that they're secret sympathisers or something? Or?
There are mosques out there where this does not happen. There are prayer centres out there where this does not happen, in fact, where these sort of statements are condoned. I saw an article in The Australian today, written by former Labor MP Gary Johns, where he was referring to a poll over in the UK, I admit, but the views that poll showed that Muslims actually held were extremist views, and it was not just like 2 or 3 or 4%. We're talking 30%, 20%, 40% of their large minority. It's a minority, but it's a large amount of people.
And yet the Prime Minister was saying today in Parliament it's still vital that we keep, you know, those communication channels open. Let's just have a little listen to what he had to say.
Our best collaborators are Muslim leaders, both at home and abroad, like President Widodo in Indonesia, who remind us and say repeatedly and stand for an Islam that is moderate, that is tolerant, that is democratic. That's their commitment. They are our best allies in this battle.
Do you agree with him?
Without a doubt, the only way that this problem within Islam is going to be sorted out is by Muslims themselves. But we shouldn't shy away from calling out extremism within Islam or radical Islam for fear that you are going to upset Muslims in general. They shouldn't be upset when we're condemning the radical elements of Islam and extremism in Islam. Muslims themselves, as we've tragically seen with the 12-year-old Australian girl who went overseas, you know, and was killed in a terrorist attack, Muslims themselves are the biggest victims of radical Islamic terrorism. And
just one final question. I mean, you have taken a lot of heat in the past for calling for a ban on migration, a ban on refugees from Syria. They've obviously gone through a really strong checks before they've been allowed to come here. Do you still think that they should not be coming here right now, or will you go and meet with and talk with some of these refugees that have cleared all the security checks that have come to Australia now and listen to their stories?
Interestingly enough, given that I'm a member of the Antiochian Orthodox Church, which has a lot of believers and followers within Syria and within Lebanon, I have spoken to refugees who have come here from Syria who have said to me, actually there are people that have also come that they know probably shouldn't be here.
Now, so they've told you why shouldn't they be here?
Well, they didn't want to elaborate too much, but, you know, the view was these are the people that we're escaping from. So, you know,
have you informed Peter Dutton about that?
Well, I don't have specific details, but Peter Dutton knows my concerns about this. The entire government knows my concerns about it. I mean, we were taking people out of camps that were, at the start of this program, that were Muslim only. And why were they Muslim only? Because Christians, Zahidis, all the others feared actually going into those camps for their safety and security.
There's a lot to talk about, but we're going to have to leave it there just for today. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, George. Now, the family of